Overwatch 2 is the best game to ever have released on October 4th, 2022 at exactly 3 PM EST. It's a game where you don't actually perform Overwatch because you got sniped by a Widowmaker from halfway across the map, and now your teammates are yelling at you for not pushing the objective and the opposing Zarya players on a 10-player kill streak, and now you're wondering why you're still playing this game. I've spent a decent amount of time over the past few weeks playing this game, although honestly it doesn't really feel like a competitive shooter to me. Like, it feels closer to something like Battlefront 2015 than it does to Siege, although it is a lot of fun. But either way, let's take a look at our expansive character roster, of which there are at least 5. First up, we have the Chad himself, Doomfist, whose coolness factor is proportional to how bad he is, meaning he's the coolest character in the game. Next, we have Reinhardt, whose shield is so large that my random teammates might actually be able to stand behind it. Okay, maybe not. Sigma, though, is in fact the Sigma male he appears to be, as he can summon his shield and still do other things at the same time. Eat your heart out, Ryan. After him, we have... Orisa is a weird one because, despite knowing what all of her moves do, I actually still feel like I have no idea what this character does. Like, I know each of the individual pieces, but my brain can't seem to form them into a coherent package. Maybe it's the 4 legs. Honestly, it's probably just the 4 legs. Next up is D.Va, whose main quality is having what I like to call the Noob Killer 69. Unless you're caught out in a really bad position, you shouldn't die to this, but that doesn't stop people from doing it. We also have Zarya. I really wish we didn't have Zarya. Rounding out the tanks, we have the 3 Australian ones. We've got the average Australian male, the average Australian female, and the average Australian hamster. Hammond is his name, death and destruction is his game. Moving on to our DPS characters, we have our last Australian, Junkrat, whose job at the moment is just to feed the opposing Zarya energy and kills. He's still pretty good against most other tanks though, so watch out for when Zarya gets nerfed. Then we got Echo, who can be a bit hard to play. But on the other end of the spectrum we have Torbjorn. So what you do, Red, is you walk up to the objective, okay, and then you press E. And then you get kills. Symmetra also has turrets that supposedly do damage. She can teleport behind the other team and dive in and die, which, you know, steals Genji's job, as all he does is dive in and die. Up next is Widowmaker, who is a very polarizing character. The rule of thumb is that if she's on the enemy team, she'll be absolutely correct and clicking on heads like there's no tomorrow, but if she's on your team, get ready for her to go 3 and 10. Hanzo's a sniper like Widowmaker, except that the rule of thumb for him is different. The Hanzo player is always bad, no matter which team he's on. Sombra has the ability to go invisible forever and teleport to safety instantly, which, as you might expect, is completely balanced. But Bastion... Okay, he's back now, never mind. Ashe and Cassidy are the 2 gunslinging Americans of the group, although Ashe is superior because she has Bob, and Bob is Bob. I mean, he's just a little guy doing his thing. Soldier 76 is your basic AR-wielding hero. Like, you're basically just playing CSGO. But it doesn't really matter now because now we have a better version of him, Sojourn. She just has a better AR, better secondary fire, better mobility, and a crowd control ability. The only thing that Soldier has over here is healing, and his healing isn't even that crazy. It's good, but not really insane or anything. Tracer is similar to Nurse from Dead by Daylight in that the difference between a PC and console player is absurd. PC Tracers can dish out tons of damage while being hard to hit and healing themselves, but console Tracers don't really have the ability to flick, and so it goes less like... and more like... And speaking of death, Pharah is not fun to play against unless you're one of like 3 heroes. Everyone else just can't hit her, and she kinda just obliterates them. Reaper players are like Genji players, except they're even more likely to dive in and die after getting no kills. Like seriously, why is everyone so aggressive with him? Like, I get he has shotguns, but you can't just walk up to a team in front of him and expect to survive. Our final DPS character is Mei, who is not the most fun to play against. Oh boy do I love being slowed down and unable to get away. That's my favorite mechanic. All we have left are the support characters, and we're starting off strong with Moira, who's actually a DPS. Like, she technically has healing, but that doesn't matter because she has the ball, which does more damage in 5 seconds than Doomfist can do in 5 minutes. On the other hand, we have Mercy, which is the only character in the game where going on a 2-player kill streak can be considered popping off. It's okay though, because being able to res is a very fun and rewarding mechanic to play against. Kiriko is the game's newest healer, and probably the best. That is, if I could hit anything. She also has a cute fox. Lucy is also really good and outputs insane amounts of healing. You can zoom around and get kills. Ana is the Widowmaker of support, and she also has one of the best abilities in the game, her Biotic Grenade. Stopping enemies from being able to get healed is kinda broken and will obliterate tanks that pushed a bit too far. Zenyatta is the moderator of the group, giving his tag to the enemy team whenever he can. Baptiste, much like the British, thought he'd discovered the secret to immortality. But, much like the British, when the immortality is gone, he doesn't last very long. And finally, we have Brigitte, who was notable only because she decided to show up to this gunfight not with a bow, not with shurikens, not with a hammer, but with a mace. Now that we've met the entire roster, I think it's time that we get in some games, starting with Quick Play. It's the unranked game mode of Overwatch, and it's about what you expect. Okay, but seriously though, if you play support in Quick Play, you are Jesus himself. Like, I just want to try and get in some kills as Doomfist without being obliterated, and if you pick Lucio, that is the fastest endorsement I will ever give you. But alas, things can't always be perfect. A big selling point for this game is the full cross-platform compatibility. You can play with friends on any console or PC without much effort, which is amazing. But did you know that, if you're playing ranked on console, you can be matched against people on PC? I didn't until I was playing some PS4 ranked and got destroyed by this one team and checked their profiles. I'm pretty sure that's not how it's supposed to work, as you can't queue for ranked if your party contains people on different platforms, but pop off I guess. Just as a PSA, make sure that cross-platform is turned off when you don't need it just to avoid this problem. And speaking of which, ranked. Right now the ranking system is terrible, requiring either 7 wins or 20 losses to change your rank for some reason, which is kind of a lot. Other than that, ranked is about how you'd expect it. Every hero other than Doomfist is viable, but some are slightly better than others. Your teammates always suck and the enemy team is always cracked out of their minds, and you will get flamed for not healing the flanking Reaper who's halfway across the map. You know, the usual rules of ranked. But if ranked has too much sweat for you, you could always try out the arcade game modes. Last but not least, we have the mainstay of modern gaming, the one thing that every game and their mother tries to implement. The Battle Pass. 100 tiers of invigorating cosmetics such as weapon charms, player banners, and voice lines that you will never use. Thank God for this. How else was I supposed to spend absurd amounts of money on materialistic products that don't do anything? It is a Wednesday night after all. Okay, now that I've shown you the entire game, I think it's time I'll leave you with one final compilation. I'm a bit of a Mercy main, so I should have some sick clips laying around.
Was low behind and the whole fight. Okay, run dead.
So this is why I never get play of the game.